Hi, this is Mary Kay, and I am getting ready to demonstrate how to paint aspen trees with any kind of background. Today I'm going to use spring background, like there's some pink flowering trees in the background and maybe some grass in the foreground. Not putting in a sky, I'm putting in trees in the background. These on this card are going out the bottoms, but I'm going to do it today planting the trees in the foreground. So the way that I prep this is that I'm going to have boards on the table with 3 sets of masking tape. The first tape is not going to have any cuts on it. The second piece from the side is going to have a cut kind of down the middle that starts on one side and goes across. And then one is going to have a very thin, hopefully, a very thin piece off one side. I'm going to do all this prep work for you, so you'll see these pieces when you come in. So the first piece then is not cut at all, the one closest to the edge of the board. And I want this one to be my main tree. It's going to start down the lowest. It's going to be approximately 1/3 of the way in, 1/4 maybe. And it's going to bend slightly. I'm going to make it bend slightly to the center. So it starts about 2 inches from the bottom and it goes all the way out the top. I use my fingernail to press it down, pull up any lint I might have. And then go to the next piece and pull it off. Trees are always fatter on the bottom and get skinnier as they go up. All the rest of the trees are going to start higher than this one. So I'm going to start about the same distance from the edge, really. Could be less. Higher though. And then again, this one's going to be sort of bendy. Well, here's kind of a fatter one. I'm going to put it even a little bit farther back from this one, a little close, and then I'm going to bend it so it bends towards it and then away. So it has a different bending pattern than the others. And now I have this super skinny one. I can do whatever I want with it. I can make it go from the bottom of this one or the bottom of this one. So generally a good rule of thumb is you have 3 threes. I don't want that to go straight out the middle. So the first thing we'll do in class is we'll get these on and I'll check and see if it's a good composition, because you're really setting your composition up with the way that you put the tape on. The tape is going to protect the paper and make it be white, since we're doing white birch trees. So that's the first step. You can use all 4 pieces if you want. It's up to you. What I'm going to do now is get my salt out. Right here, margarita salt. You buy it in the tequila at the grocery store. I'm using a 3/4 inch brush. I'm just going to wet my whole paper. See how the trees go out the top? The trees are so tall that you don't see the tops of the trees. You can see the bottoms though. If you want to make this really easy, just make the trees go out the top and the bottom. Okay, so I wet that. I am going to take my paper towel and dry off the tape because it makes puddles. And then you get a watermark around it. I'm going to start with the yellow. So I'm dipping my wet brush into the yellow paint. And if I need more water, I dip the corner of my brush into the water. If I need more paint, I dip into the paint. And I'm going to get just yellow paint. We're going to start with yellow paint. I'm just going to put this loosely all the way across the page in a couple different spots. When I do this demonstration in class, I'm going to start with the pink. I wish I'd started with the pink. Here I go to the pink now. Same thing, I'm going to make a pink petal. I don't know what that is. I've got some. All right, so now I have pink. Just going to add some pink areas. I need to have a couple of pink areas. You can add a little bit down there. My paper's drying quickly. What I'm going to do now is quickly get into my Antwerp and make some light green. Put that at the top. So all the way across. If I have one color on one side of a piece of tree, it really needs to be on both sides of the tree. So that little streak has to go across. And now at the very bottom, I'm going to make a darker green, just Antwerp and yellow, but more Antwerp. And I'm painting this. So all the trees now end up in this little bit darker green. And I want to get salt on this, especially this pink. So the time to add the salt is not when it's sopping wet. You'll get really big blossoms then. Like here, these blossoms will be big in this corner. But there has to be shine on your paper or it won't show up. This is a good time to sign into the bottom. I don't see my signer, so I'm going to use a knife. Now, I have this big watermark of the Arches paper there. I'm tempted to put my name right in here just to add to all that watermark. If I put it down over here, I feel that it's gonna take away from my main tree here. So I don't want it over here, I want it in here. So I'm just gonna sneak it in here. I'm just writing with the tip of this into the damp paper. I write my name in cursive, Mary K. S. Jolly. And then I put a C with a circle around it for a copyright. Now, I'm not so sure about this yellow. It feels a little too light. I think the pink's gonna be okay, especially if the salt works better. But I just feel like I just didn't get the yellow right. So I'm tempted here now to just clean up my palette a little bit right here. And clean up the green in my yellow paint. I want to have pure yellow. So now, my problem is that this is pretty dry. I'm just gonna go for it, you know? No guts, no glory. Let's get some brighter yellow in there. We have those fields in Half Moon Bay that are so covered in the mustard and what is that one that the kids, sour grass. And then I'm going to put more green here at the top. Little, yeah, like this better. Like that, more color. I could even put a little salt up there if I want. Well, that's kind of an interesting thing. I'm not sure that it's, I don't know if it's trees. I don't really know what the background is. It's kind of pretty. I'm gonna try a little more pink even. Like there's more pink trees back there. This ended up looking a little more red than pink because the yellow and the pink make red. So I'm not really sure what this is. Don't know why I did that either. Sometimes you just put things on and go, yeah, that looks good, or that doesn't look good. So now I'm gonna try and add a little salt into that. All right, so there's my background, and I'm gonna stop now. This got dry, so it didn't really make any white flowers. Now here is the great thing about using tape instead of PBO, is that you don't have to wait until the paper is dry to lift up the tape. You can just pull at the bottom and pull it up gently. This is why we use good paper, because it's not pulling the surface of the paper up. And see, it just left that white tree trunk. So in a way, we've painted negative. We painted around the tree trunk. When you use masking tape, I mean, that's the reason it's named masking tape. So it does, it masks over here. And then this one over here. A really fun thing to do with this same painting is to do it in all the seasons, summer, spring, winter, and fall. So this is still a bit damp, but I'm gonna go ahead and paint the next part. And I'm going to use my 10-inch round, or my museum brush. Sometimes I call it a pencil brush because there's a pencil on one end. I'm gonna get clean water here. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start on this tree here, and I'm going to wet about 2/3 of it with a little bit of water. I like how the pink is kind of, or the orange color is sort of pulling into the tree trunk, like it's reflected light. And now I'm going to go into my neutral tint. Nope, that was sepia actually. My neutral tint's on this side. See how much more gray it is? I could mix them together though. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I have to be careful because if I touch this to the background, it's gonna blur. I really want to keep this just on the tree. I'm painting the shadow side of the tree. I've already decided the light's coming in from the left. So I go right to the edge here. I'm painting into this is wet into wet. I'm gonna paint the bottom here. And this is just a composition, a painting trick. Always, if you have white branches, trees going out the top, you need to just put a little bit of shadow up there to make your eyes stop. And I'm trying to go right here to this side. And coming down, I'm leaving just the very side of this tree perfectly white, and the rest is in shadow. That's the first one. Now I'm going to go do the same thing. Oops. I'm going to wet it first. This one's darker. I used more paint. I'll have to go into the other one and re-darken it over there. I'm very carefully using the very last few bristles of the brush to get this right to the edge. There's no white on the shadow side, only on the sunlight side. And the bottom also put gray all across the bottom and all across the top of that tree. Yeah, so this I'm just going to go in right now and just add a little bit more to it so that this has a little bit darker shadow on this side. There's a little tiny bit of white right there. I think I'll be able to get it later. While this is damp, if I just take a thirsty brush, which means that it's a damp brush, a very light damp brush, and I just brush into this, I can get some watermarks and it'll look like the sun is shining on the left side of that tree. I don't mind having the extra color into the shadow because it looks like reflected light. Now, that's tapeworm going with me. Now I need to do the same thing on these little scrawny ones. So I don't know if I want to wet it. Let me see how I want to handle this. This is a little bit of paint in it. Yeah, it's just paler paint. I'm not going to wet this one. I'm just going to brush this down the side here. Across the bottom, across the whole top. And over here. This one can have just a little bit of light showing. It's going to mostly be a dark tree trunk. It goes behind. It's growing from behind this one. So that's how we make the white taped area look round, because we put the shadow on one side and then it softens as it goes to the sunny side, and we have that one sunny side, so we're making those look round. These are pretty dry already. Then the next part of the tree is going to be adding the eyes where the branches come out and where the branches have fallen off and where the deer scratch their horns. So I'm just using neutral tint. I can use a little bit of sepia in it. So at the bottom, the deer scratch their horns and they get it all scruffed up. if you want to, you can kind of scrape up some grasses. We're gonna have to put some, we're gonna have to plant these when we're done. We'll get those planted later. And the weird place that the branches come off, so I'm gonna draw in a couple branches and show you how the eyes work. So I'm gonna start one here, a branch, and just have it go out. They separate and you get all the branches going off. Remember that the branch is always thicker where it's attached to the tree. Where the salt is, it just got super thick. So I'm gonna make a thick branch down here. So that's one branch. And what they do is there's above them is kind of like a little eyebrow. And they often, where they break off, they have like little dots. So the branches are all black. It's only the trunks that are white. So now I just have to add more marks on all these trees and more branches. This one's bugging me. It's not doing much for me. One thing I want to make sure that I don't do the rest of the painting is put a branch coming out exactly the same height as that one. So now I have to override my brain. And this one has to be low or high, higher than that or lower. I'm gonna go, right now I'm gonna go higher. And it's got a little eyebrow, it comes out of a little hole. This one, my furthest tree over here starts lower, so it's actually in front. So I'm just gonna be brave. I'm gonna put a branch right over that. Another one. They're gonna crisscross up here. They're gonna make a bit of a mess. This one can start from the back of the tree. This one's starting here. It has a little eyebrow and an eye. I think I'm going to add a big branch that starts on this big one and goes from here out. And that's going to end up being my focal point. In this card here, this is really the focal point. That's where your eye goes first. It's the biggest, darkest. But I have that there, and that's not going to be my focal point. So I don't want this in the center. I want it down here. I'm just going to put a big branch in. Okay, here I go. It's going right over. The paper's a bit damp, so it's okay. And my eye is going to go there. So now I need to put in my eyebrows. I need to put in some of that so that my eye's like, okay, that's really where that branch comes off. And then they break off too. So I want to have a whole bunch of eyes and little lines coming across. When you're looking at a line going across something above eye level, it curves down like a shadow, and below eye level it curves up. So if you want to put little lines across, just remember that the bottom ones curve like frowns and the smile ones, and then at eye level they're kind of straight across. So what I'm doing is I'm just muffing up the trees. This one I'm just going to darken it up there, darken here. So Oh. I don't know what I'm doing with that. Just felt like it should go more that way. Should it go here? What? I got that instead. Then this little guy here, I feel like this should almost just be like a darker branch now that I'm getting into it. Okay, so this needs more eyeballs. I can break off. Boop. Boop. Crisscross applesauce. More smudging in there. I feel like I'm taking too long painting this. But this one's in front. Okay, okay, so I don't want it even with that. I want it someplace else. Oops, I made those two go right out of the same spot. That was not my best move. Oh my gosh. Well. I'm laughing because I feel like I'm not getting these in very good. This one makes me laugh. It's the ones that make me laugh that I like the best. And okay, I'm going to stop with the branches. Maybe I'm not. This is so fun. Ay, ay, ay. I could be using a littler brush. Do I need more over here? I don't know. Kinda, I guess. I don't know what to do. Maybe you can just... Do I want to do that? Yeah, sure. I got nothing. I got nothing to lose. It's a piece of paper. Oh, that was thicker. I'm cracking myself up here. I guess you can just put on as many branches as you want. Okay, now these trees actually kind of look like they're planted already. I mean, I feel like they're growing out of the grass. Partly that's because these, I ripped the tape at the bottom, so it's not a straight across piece of tape. I think to help it a little bit, so I'm thinking two things. One is I can darken behind them. It'll feel like this is like like a little hill back here. And the other thing I can do is I can do shadows. So if the sun is here, the shadow is going to start here and come this way. So shadows are good. If we just put this shadow over the green, I think it'll work. So when you put your shadows, they have to be the same angle. You can, I think, all right, I'm gonna go this way. How's that gonna look? I'm gonna have to darken the shadow coming up the tree. Okay, there's my shadow. This one's gonna have a shadow that goes behind. This one's gonna have a shadow that goes here. And then this one's gonna have a big shadow. So that's gotta be that same angle. And if they can bend a little bit because they're on the ground, they're in the... Okay. I do like the idea of just a little bit more color behind the trees here. so that it looks like there's more light in front. Well, there's part of me that thinks I should just stop as soon as I darken this shadow. You know what? I think I am going to stop. They look like trees on a wild background, but I think that's good. I like it. Thanks for watching till the end.